What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is Cyrus here. Welcome to the Venomous Fringe. You are listening in whatever time of the day or evening, wherever you're at. This is being recorded at night, so of course, midnight to be exact. So folks, whenever you listen to this episode, feel free to give it a like, subscribe, and comment to the Venomous Fringe podcast. We do more than just regular interviews, guys. We're not just a podcast. We also game on Twitch. We're on Reddit. Like us on Facebook. We do weekly events, guys. You'll like what we got the content coming in for. But tonight, the content's even bigger because we have our very first paranormal, or whatever I can call him. I can call him my friend, a brother, but more importantly, a paranormal researcher and into the horror world himself. You got to give it up for the heat up for none other than old boy himself, James Ash. James Ash, old boy, what is up, brother? How you doing?
What's up, Cyrus? I'm doing pretty good. How's everybody up there doing out there? Misfits, Sugar Lilies, and Demon Hunters. It's old boy from Staring into the Abyss. I'm doing pretty good, brother. How you?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I mean, you and I both watched the pay-per-view, and I think we both have a nice mindset on how of a clusterfuck we got going on this pay-per-view.
It was ridiculous. You know what? I want to know when the WWE is going to stop pushing Roman Reigns. I don't hate the guy. Just they've been pushing him and Brock Lesnar for the last 2 years, and it's just they got to do something new. Braun Strowman's better, I think. What do you think?
Oh, Braun Strowman is the epiphany of what this company needs. The same thing goes to Seth Rollins and Finn Balor. Oh, and you know what? I have to be honest with you, and I know I'm going to probably get some heat for this, but even with Shinsuke, these are some people here in this company I see that have that talent, that get the heat. And, it's unfortunate because at the same time, people also, the editors in the network always have to edit the boos and make the cheers for Roman Reigns himself, whereas all these other talents don't need that because that's genuine emotion. It's I guess you could say it's like the spider web effect, I guess, of how the company rolls now for the big dog.
I don't get it. You know what? AJ Styles has been, he's a phenomenal, like his name says. I love the guy. I think him, Nakamura. I think eventually they're going to give him the title, but Roman's got it. I know they're going to end up giving him the title, but I don't understand why. He's just. No one's they're still booing him. It's not working, so leave it alone, give somebody else a try. What do you think about Taker coming back?
Well, it's funny because I remember when the whole event was going on with Undertaker, the rumor that Taker was coming back to the WWE, and I knew that his last match at Mania last year was not his last match because there's no way on such short notice it was hyped up to be that. I think there was an original plan, it got scrapped, and now we had his match. His return, though, I was a little disappointed not to see the American Badass at WrestleMania because I know that was a big hype with Kid Rock and whatnot, but he left Orlando to New Orleans because of his tour at the time, so that was the hint that I guess we weren't getting the American Badass. But that's the same. But going back to Taker, though, Taker and all that, the funny thing is that I really do enjoy what the company has done with him as a legacy, as a character, but in all fairness, I think it's time to lace up the boots. There's just no question. I mean, it's that time. Great athlete. He's put on at least more than 33 years in the business, counting his early days, and it's at the time now where it's put up the boots. There's nothing else to prove. The streak is done and over with. I feel it's just a cash grab now to get this guy in here just for the purpose of saying, well, that's what'll draw in our audience at Mania. What do you think, Ash?
You know what I think, honestly, I mean, I understand Taker wants to give back. He's a great wrestler, one of the greatest of all time. I'm sorry, anybody can argue he's top 5, top 3 actually. He's my favorite. I just think he shouldn't have come back. And I think they do admit now they made a mistake on the streak. They should have never ended it anyway. And if they did, they should have done it in a different way. But it is what it is. There's nothing to do there. He's going to keep coming back. I mean, look, even though he's 53 years old, look, everybody was waiting for him to come back. He didn't even have to sell the pay-per-view, and he came back. So that should say something. So I mean, that he didn't even come out with John Cena. John Cena did all the promos, and still, look what happened. He still got the biggest of everybody was on their feet. I mean, I don't understand. He's just something different. Even though he's old, everybody knows. It's just everybody's ready for him. So I don't
I
know what's your opinion on that.
No, I agree. I'm in the same boat with it too. And of course, for everybody out there who are wrestling fans who will tune into this episode when you see it, do you think at Undertaker it is that time to lace up the boots? Of course, if you are a wrestling fan, you watch the show, guys. That is the question, of course. I agree. I agree exactly what you said, though, old boy. I do, because it is a strength of how this company has taken their wrestlers. The streak, I think, should have been beaten by Kane, to be quite frank with you. The guy, the brother, at least give them one last big match in their legacy, because Kane, now as he's going for mayor, and we're not going to see much of him if he wins. He got into the primaries, so depending on where his calling card goes in the future, it's unknown, of course, if he even does. If he has another match, or it be retirement afterwards, because he is in his 50s already. But I do think the Undertaker should have at least had, his streak broken by Kane, or honestly, to be quite frank with you, Lesnar, I understand the reasoning of, but I really think it should have been also done by Shawn Michaels. I know that's a really tough choice, but that was one of my favorites. I really loved their two matches. I thought that 26 match, was phenomenal, but I think it was either going to be him or Kane that I think would break the streak. Triple H came close, though. I will give him that.
I think they should have ended it with probably Kane, or they should have done. My opinion was it should have been somebody like Finn Balor or somebody like that, and it would probably make more sense. But yeah, it should have been somebody different.
And I didn't say Sting, because at this point in their prime, it's done and over with. It's a shame. If the deal was supposed to happen in 2011, it failed, it flopped, Sting didn't go back, and he dealt with Jeff Hardy when he was on drugs at the Victory Road event. It was just such a huge letdown. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but I mean, that to me, that was just, the biggest letdown dream match to ever happen.
Yeah, Sting wasn't going to win that match, though. You know that, right? They were going to pay him to lose. And Taker was still going to win that match. So that's what I read. But Jeff Hardy was all messed up on drugs. Jeff Hardy just got busted for DUI, and then he came back and won the United States title. I don't understand that, but whatever. But I'm kind of disappointed in Sting and Taker never met, and it kept falling through. But it was just, some things are never meant to be. That just happens, bro.
It's the way the cookie crumbles, unfortunately. Well,
yes.
Now, of course, we talked about our wrestling, and still going on. I'd love to have you come on our wrestling panel in the future when we get it going.
No problem.
So now, old boy, where did it all begin with you? I mean, where did it start with you in this field of paranormal and horror? What was it that began your quest of where you are today? First of all, the co-host of a successful paranormal show, going into the unknown, as they call it. One of the best out there, and I watch your show constantly because I love the way the concept you guys got going with that show. It's a very important factor. So, guys, congrats, guys, you and Hershey both, on your success with Staring Into the Abyss.
You want to know what got me into doing this show, or you want me to go all the way from the beginning? It's up to you. It doesn't matter. I can start anywhere.
I know I kind of threw in a compliment and then a question. So go into the question. Let's start off with, where did it all begin with you into the field?
I was born in it. I didn't just wake up. It's always been in me. A lot of people are not going to understand this. And I'm going to explain this because I did a show when we first did Staring Into the Abyss. Actually, it was called Revolution Radio. It was before we even started doing Staring. And I did an interview about what I was involved in. And I'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. But it's always been there. I didn't just wake up one day and go, oh, yeah, I've just been intrigued with the dark side. I love the darkness. I don't want to trip people out on this, but there's something in me, and it's been there since it must have been somebody in my family. I've talked to psychics. They said I was, You know, this isn't my first time here. I've always been a Wiccan witch or pagan and been into magic and stuff like that. It's there. There's some people who they get into it when they're younger, or they watch movies like horror movies and stuff, or they get into the trendy hot topic gothic vampire, or I'm a witch because I saw The Craft, and they dress up, and do the part from Hot Topic and get your Ouija board on. What you can get on the Amazon now. It's a game that's ridiculous because they don't even know what they're playing with, but it's always been there, bro. I don't know. Have you ever, when you watch horror movies, or you get into the paranormal or cryptozoology? It's not just we do everything. We don't just do paranormal. I do crypto. We do history. We do everything you can. Aliens. It's whatever conspiracy. It's different for me. It's like getting high for the first time. I mean, come on, we all done smoked weed at one time in our life, majority of us. And I don't do it anymore, but that's what it is to me. It's like every time I get to do this show, it's like a high, or get to talk about anything. It's like when I was a kid, the first thing I would do go in the library is go read something about Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster or ghost or vampires or something. I don't know. It's always been there. It's something that excites me, and I got into something long ago, and it's never really shaken away. It's a part of me. I'll explain that in a little bit. I know you were into this stuff, and you probably get the same kind of feeling yourself, do you not?
Oh yeah, it's crazy because I don't discuss this a lot with my personal with the personal life because that's none of their concern. I don't want to get the ridicule for things, but I'm somebody who has seen and witnessed some mysterious things happen in my life, deja vu, Mandela effect type scenarios, and it's so odd. And then the mysterious happenings that there are things out there too. The what if factor. Where I live in New Jersey, we have the Jersey Devil, we have the Amityville Horror House, we have a lot of old burial grounds left and right. There's something out there, irregardless of how you see it, and people will either ridicule you because you are crazy about it, or people will understand you because you have a gift that many humans do not have. And that's, I guess you could say the same thing for you. You've talked about, and that's something that the first time you've told me about, which was this whole thing that you have something in you, whether it's witchcraft or whatever the case may be. Do you take that old boy as a gift?
I it's a curse and a gift. It's both, because it makes you it there's a I'll put it this way. I've been in like three or four things I should be dead. I had pneumonia when I was a kid, twice, double pneumonia. I was in hospital. I stopped breathing once. I've been in three or four head-on collisions. I've never broken a bone. I've had so many crazy things happen in my life. I mean, everybody does, but it's stuff that you would never imagine. And here's the weird thing: is my mom is a reverend, so she's on the other side. So that's the crazy thing about everything. But it just seems like it's a curse, also because it's hard to get close to people because you don't want to tell them about this, because it's hard. Sometimes I can't sleep. I could feel things watching me. I know things are there. My daughter's got this too. My daughter can feel things. It's in the blood. I don't know what it is. I was originally from Pennsylvania, and my mom, was adopted, so we don't really know who that side of the family is. And my real dad, I didn't really know him too well, so I know a little bit about his side, but I don't know everything. So it's just something. It helps out sometimes, but there's a price to everything you do. And I wouldn't say it's a gift, because I fight with demons every day. I fight with stuff that you would never imagine, because everybody sees me on, I do stuff on Facebook, and that's how I started. Before I started doing the show, I started doing stuff on Facebook, and I got a horror group called Horror Evil Ash, and it got very popular, and I started meeting people in that industry. But I've always been attracted to horror movies too. That was always, it's because my dad, my real dad, for the couple years I knew him, that's what he would do. He'd take me to the movies out there, and you know, if you ever seen Back East, it looks like a horror movie at night. So I mean, he knows he lives in New Jersey. Um, we like in Pennsylvania, we have the Bunny Man, and we have our own history out there, and the Blair where I lived, I was right there by the Bell Witch, aka the Blair Witch. So I mean, we have our own history out there. So I mean, and now I live in California, El Chupacabra. What I've seen and by Mexico, the Mexican border, I've even seen it out here. So I'll tell that story later. But I wouldn't say any of this is. I wouldn't want anybody to deal with what I deal with. But it also is a gift because I know that some things I get is because of these reasons. And I know people are going to think it's crazy and I sound crazy, but I usually don't tell people stuff like this. And this is something, and Chris is getting like something I don't ever talk about. Um, because you have to, people think you're crazy, or you got those couch sayers who sit on the couch and, oh, that's not real. You dealt with it yourself with doing a show. We know how we have haters and people who really don't know what they're talking about. And they just don't want to believe anything because it's safer that way. It doesn't exist. They don't want to know about it. They don't care. You could have it come tap dance at their house and they wouldn't fucking care. They would still say it doesn't exist. So with me getting into what it did with all this is because it always been there. It's always attracted to me. And I started attracting people who were into Wiccan and paganism and Satanism and all that. And I started hanging out with certain people and I got involved in a certain group. It was called the Black Rose. And the crazy thing there's like 30, 40, 50 people in this group. It wasn't just me and a couple people. It started like that, but it was actually pretty crazy. It was different beliefs. It was like Wiccan, pagans. There were Satanists in it. It was supposedly vampires. I never got into that, but but I knew people who are in it. I know people who think they're actually vampires. It's crazy as it sounds, but there really is. But the crazy thing about this is there was a group called the Black Rose, and it was around for a long time. And I got away from them and did my own thing. And I had my own coven of people. And I was married around that time. And those are some dark times, man. I got into it really deep to the point where, like, if you talked about God in front of me, I would, like, something just gets mad. And I hated it. I hated that person or the person to talk about it. And it was pretty bad, man. I remember one time I'd be sitting around and looking at everybody that's in the group that was in my group. And I would just sit there and like go off in another world. Like, man, what am I doing? And it just got real bad. And I mean, I started dyeing my hair different colors. I mean, there's pictures of what I used to look like. I was pretty crazy looking. I was pretty crazy out there altogether. I used to wear chains and go to golf clubs and do. I used to go to people's house and do rituals. And it's pretty intense when you get involved in all this stuff. And then one day I got out of it for a while, and then I don't do what I used to do, but you never really get away from it. It never goes anywhere. So, it's there. You can pretend it's not there, but it doesn't go. It never goes away. I'll probably die with this in me. It'll probably kill me. Eventually something will. It's just in my DNA. Hershey knows about it, and we talk about it, but because Hershey's a born again Christian and I'm a Wiccan. So we do the show and people are like, oh, well, how's that work? It does, because he's not a judgmental person. Surprisingly, that he's not every Christian is judgmental. There are some people who have very open minds. So we just do the show and we don't get into that. And that's just how we live. And we do the show perfectly. It works perfectly. Staring at the Abyss is like like he was saying, is one of the most popular shows out there. It's on Para X and people listen to it all over the world. From we have people in other countries that weren't even listening, now they listen to us. So that's what we do, and it's like when I do the show, it's stuff I love to talk about. I love talking about this stuff, man, all day we could talk about it. That's like my football. I love football too, but like wrestling, I could sit there and talk about this. I could deal with this for the rest of my life, and I could never make any money and just do this, and I would be happy with it because I love doing this. But the stuff like I said, the other stuff, like. There is dark beings. There is evil. There is a dark side to that too. You can get into bad karma. You can get in some deep stuff, man. And a lot of people are saying, "Oh, that's not true." It is. I mean, you could say whatever you want. I could sit here and tell you stuff I've seen. Like one day, my daughter was gone. She was young. She was at her grandparents, and I was in an apartment in Apple Valley, California. My ex-wife was sound asleep in the other room, and my daughter's room was next to the computer. I was on MySpace. You remember MySpace? And she had this Barbie doll, this Barbie car, and the Barbie doll was in it. Well, I was sitting there, and my cats weren't in the house. Nothing was in the house. My ex was sound asleep in the other room, and I seen the Barbie doll go and roll out by itself, back and forth in front of me, 3 or 4 times, and roll itself back into the room. Now, at that time, I didn't believe in anything. That changed everything, and since then, I see everything. I used to be able to see myself sleep. I'd see stuff attacking me. So I could go to people's houses. I know there's something there. There's something watching me. I'll dream stuff, and it happens. I'll get permission, stuff that will say that something bad's going to happen to somebody, and it does. Or I'll think about it. And here's the crazy thing: I'll think of like an actor, and a couple days later they'll die, or a couple weeks later. It's weird, and it's crazy. It just comes to my head. It's like it wouldn't be like somebody famous or just somebody I used to like back with all the movies I like, and then a couple weeks later they die, or something happens to them, or just like a friend I haven't seen that all of a sudden they'll pop out of nowhere, and it's weird. It's a weird thing that I deal with, and there's a lot of evil to it, and it protects me, but um it's not good, but I just try to tell people what I try to. It's hard to me explain this to people without thinking I'm insane. So I just let them believe whatever they want. They're going to believe whatever they're going to believe. So that's all I got to say about that one. I mean, and then starting the show, how I got involved in all this. Well, there was a guy named Eric Wickham, and he had a show called Revolution Radio. So he got us into it about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. I was on like this show. I was doing an interview because at that time I was doing horror movies, in a horror group, and he got me on the show. So he liked me, and he decided to let me have my own show called We're Screwed. Well, We're Screwed kind of didn't pan out, and we started doing the paranormal, and we changed it to Staring into the Abyss. And Staring into the Abyss ended up blowing up and going on Para X. And now everybody knows who we are, who knows the paranormal or who's in cryptozoology. Because also James Hershey's a famous book writer, international best-selling author of the I'm Legion series. So that's what a lot of people don't know about that either. He's already known. So he wanted to try something new, and he's knocking this out of the park because he's a very smart guy. He worked for NASA. So, he's done a lot of things. He was in a band. Everything he's done, he touches, it turns gold. It's crazy. So, and since then we just, and how I met Chris is we had him on a show a while ago, about a year ago, and we were talking about the Michigan Dogman, and it was a great show. So, we did an interview with Staring in the Abyss a while ago, and he wanted to do this for a while, but he's always been busy. He has school, or I'm working, or James is doing something, and it always fell through. We just had the right time, and now the show's going. It's meant to be, and Chris is a really great guy, so I decided to give him this interview because most people don't get this interview. This is something I don't really do. I don't really talk about my personal life because people, like I said, you don't want to hear their opinions. Because they're going to say you're crazy but I don't care. You could believe whatever you want. The kind of person Chris knows I am, I don't give a fuck what you think. Trust me on that. I could care less because I'm going to be who I am. You don't like it? Oh well, I'm going to get up in the morning, aren't I? So that's just how my opinion is. I'm a very stubborn person, so that's just how I am. I could give a fuck what you think about me. That's I love my fans. I love everybody who follows our shows, and I love my fans on Facebook. Chris is a great guy, but you're a hater. Good, you just make my life better. I'll just keep on breaking goals and pissing you off, and I could care less. Trust me on that. What do you think about that one, Chris?
Well, you know what? I mean, if it wasn't, it was like a promo almost delivered in the most
Yeah,
hygienic way, which
yeah,
works. Which works. Don't get me wrong. Well, you have a good point. We talk about these type of things, and by the way, I think my episode with you guys was the top highest rated episode on YouTube. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was I think it was one of the highest rated, or
one of
highest
them.
viewed. So,
Yeah,
and I mean, now we're doing another interview this upcoming Thursday, which will be more explosive, and I can't wait to share what I got to share with you guys. It's going to be fun. We got a lot of interesting stuff to talk about. Um, but enough of that. Going back to what you said, you have a great point. You do. You speak of the mind. You speak the truth. People don't like truth nowadays. Truth to them is like us of how we didn't care when we were first starting out as teenagers, except that these people never left their stages of teenage immaturity. And that's the problem with our society to this day, is that we continue to go into this loop, this circle, that we want to deny people, we want to make fun of people, we want to treat people like shit. That's not the concept of what we do here. And of course there's people that, will always be neglected and weirded out because of their belief system. Like, you were probably bullied yourself when you were much younger with how you were and how traits were with you. And then for now, and I was the same way. I was bullied myself. And of course, everyone who is clearly watching this episode, you've probably yourself been bullied as well. But the thing is, too, is that, it changes your perspective on life. It makes you something different. It makes you either a better person or a bad person. But it gives you the gift that, that you're, whether it's in religious views or on the top of the fact of just various discussion, that either or, you have a lot of good coming towards you. Don't let the haters get to you. You are on top of them. They aren't on top of you, type ordeal. You get what I'm saying, old boy. It's a pretty interesting analogy.
yeah. You know what? There's always going to be somebody that's hating. You know what? It's because they're hating because they're not doing nothing in their life. And you're right, dude. I was bullied more than just that. I was bullied because I was a heavy set kid. I mean, chubby, and I had problems in school, so I got made fun of that too. It wasn't just that. There's more stuff on that. It wasn't just because of what I believed. It was I think we all got bullied, majority of us. So, there's always been the perfect people. And that's what it is. You got a lot of these people who talk crap and, oh, yeah, they can say whatever they want, but what are they doing? That's what I'm saying. What they could always say, this and that, but they're not doing nothing. Where's their show? Where they, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but, most of these people who say nothing, they're the ones who just, they're either not, they're either a fake profile anyway. They go and troll, and it's not even real anywhere. It's just somebody they always have they don't have their face on there. They have to make up a fake profile and say something because they'll never say it to somebody's face in real life. So I mean, it's just they have nothing better to do. They sit on the couch and probably don't do nothing in their life, and they want to just get on people's life who make it in life. That's with everything. Anything you do in life, you're always going to have somebody who's jealous of you and that. It doesn't matter what you do. And you know that, Chris, better than anyone. That's just how people are. That's how humans are. They want to be better than each other. And that's why we have the problems we have in this country and everywhere else in the world, because people have greed and jealousy on anything else. They want to be where everybody else is at. So that just happens. But most people don't want to work for it either. They want to just hand it. And that's how it goes. Most of these people wouldn't go out and do the things I do. I mean, I work 40, 50 hours a week, and I do these shows, and and I do research, and, James does a whole bunch of research on this stuff. We don't just go and, read something out of YouTube and Facebook and, yep, there we got our show. It takes some time, dude. That guy studies like a never, I don't, you can vouch for how Hershey knows stuff. I mean, the guy he studies what you would study in a month in a 2-day period of time. He's just amazing. And, the guy's smart. It's crazy. He's just smarter. One of the smartest people I've ever met. I mean, he's also in the prepping and surviving too. So, I mean, you could throw that guy out in the middle of a forest and he'll survive for 4 or 3 months. And he's done it. It's crazy. He knows how to survive in the earth. He's just a different kind of person, different breed, just like me. I'm a different breed of person. I'm unique and different. And there's not a lot of people like us, and that's why it's so weird, because we're both alpha males. Like we don't like to be share the spotlight, but we do with this show. We do it. It's fine. It doesn't bother me. Most people, oh man, that's crazy. It just worked out since we did a show together about this stuff. It just worked out, and it's great. I mean, we have our differences on things, but it ends up being a good show, and we put on a great. Most people don't do what we do. Every week we do something different. Most people do, after 3 or 4 months, they'll change it up or put a rerun. We don't. We'll do another show every week, something new. Most people like Coast to Coast, they'll do a rerun here. They'll do some old show. Art Bell, the only person that used to be retired, rest in peace, the late Art Bell, one of my favorite people of all time. He passed away a couple weeks ago, and that's the reason I do this. I used to listen to him back on Coast to Coast years ago, and there's nothing like him. And now that's why I do this, because I always was into this stuff. And back then, you didn't really have people talk about paranormal. To have somebody do that, back in the 90s and early 2000s, even 80s, I think he was doing it for like 80s, 70s. No one, back then you didn't have that. It was crazy. But man, I used to listen to the shows. I don't know if you ever heard of Art Bell, but he was awesome, man. He just passed away a couple of weeks ago. I think you've heard of Coast to Coast, haven't you, Chris?
Yes, God bless. Art Bell, rest in peace. Yeah, that was where I first discovered Dogman, actually.
Oh,
That's kind of where it all began. Art Bell, George Norrie, Ian Punnett, and whatnot. The Coast to Coast crew. Art is dearly missed, of course. God bless. But also too, and I agree with you 100% on what you do. And this is now that we're going into the half hour, and with the little time we've got left, I want to go ahead and I want to talk about a couple things. With Staring into the Abyss and what your goal of the show is. Has there ever been a story that you guys touched base on that was the most disturbing, or a case or a cryptid that was pretty disturbing to you that has intrigued you guys to the extent?
the demon shows we've done, because we were trying to figure out what demons are, and we pretty much figured it out. But most demons are not just demons; they're falling angels, and they're not demons. People got to realize, like there's different levels. But James didn't really want to do the show at first because he doesn't like getting into that. He doesn't like talking about their names, and it doesn't bother me because who I am. But he actually got really sick for a while after we did that show, and I think it kind of messed with him. It kind of messed with me for a while. But we did another show with a psychic, and like the whole time we were doing the show, we could hear things in the background. I don't know if it was, and she said it wasn't her. She claimed it wasn't. But some shows we've done, we could hear things. And we figured out one time it was these stupid mics. Because I used to walk around when I do a show, and it shakes around because the mic's actually in here in the headset. So that's what would clack. So we figured that's what it was, the one thing. But then I got it fixed. We would just mute it. And we would still hear things. And in some shows I do, like especially with paranormal, for some reason, after I do it with demons, I'll hear things in my house. Weird stuff happens. So yeah, those are some disturbing things, especially that. The other, like something like crazy, no. I mean, we had some lady on that I didn't agree with because she was going to do stuff about, if she said she was a star child. Originally she said she was an angel, but she kept changing her story. We put the story on there. We didn't make it a show, but we still did it as a recording, and we put it on the YouTube page. And I didn't want to be in the video because I know she kept changing her stories, and it kind of really annoyed me more than anything. So I've had people try to be phony on our show. I'm not going to put her on name. I'm not going to do that. But yeah, I didn't want to be involved in that show. But disturbing. Not really, I haven't had anything crazy happen. I mean, like I said, we did the one with Tammy G where she was reading, she was doing a live Ouija board, and that was kind of weird because she started like actually crying in it because something was telling her about her late dad, and it was really cool, but that was kind of creepy. I wouldn't say it was like, disturbing, but it was pretty out there. I started getting a bad vibe, because when you mess with Ouija boards, you're opening doors, you're opening gates to certain things you don't want coming into you. What people don't realize is, not all demons are just going to kill you. They're going to latch on you for the rest of your life and attack your family. And they'll get into your kids. They'll get into your, anybody can get something onto you. It's either cursed on you or you let it come on you. There's some people actually like living with these things. And when you get this stuff latched on you, you're gonna pay a price. And trust me on that. I'm gonna pay a price one day, but it is what it is. It's my destiny. I do what I want. I don't care. One way or another, I'm fine with the way my life is. I'm not gonna sit here. Oh, my life sucks. No, it's decent. I live a pretty normal life. I'm not really normal, but I have a beautiful daughter. I have a cool, awesome show. I mean, have a decent job. I mean, but have an awesome girlfriend. But I also have this side of me, and sometimes he does. Sometimes I don't like to talk about things. I don't like to bring it up. It took me a long time to talk about all this stuff because there's a lot of stuff that happened to me. It literally almost killed me. So, I mean, being involved in a lot of this stuff, and when you're messing with certain things, it happens. You'll have some people, I've done it and I never did anything, whatever. Believe whatever you want. There was like, when I was messing with things, stuff bad happened to me all the time. It was crazy. My grandmother was killed. I ended up getting a divorce. I lost everything. And people that's just how luck is. It wasn't. There was stuff like left in my house. Like one time I woke up and there was like this dead raven, but it was like I must have had enemies because they put like stones and like they were doing some kind of curse on me. I had a couple of people try to put curse on me, but they learned real quick why not to do that. But I think somebody did, and I had some bad luck for a while. Even my ex-wife was messing around with some of my books. She ended up getting attacked by something, and still does. And lately she hasn't, but she just doesn't tell me. But I mean, I don't hate my ex-wife. I still talk to her because I have a daughter with her for the rest of my life. But she knows what I have dealt with because she dealt with it somewhat too. And it's a crazy life. Um, I wouldn't. Most people couldn't leave the life I live, but I wouldn't want you to. I wouldn't. I would change my own mind if I could too, but I can't. And with the whole occult stuff, it's just something that I got involved in, and I didn't do what I was supposed to do, and a lot of things happened to me for a long time. And now I'm still into it, not like that, but I'm still practice certain things, and I'm not going to get into that because that's a whole different thing we could talk about one day, maybe on the second part, because we're probably going to do a second part of this video, and I'll get into more on that then. But I'm just going to be who I am, and this is who I am, and I love doing this. I love doing all this stuff, and I love doing this interview right now because I actually get to talk about it. It's actually exciting to me, and I hope you guys enjoy this, man. Because like I said, I don't know how you guys you do stuff with your followers and fans, but it seems really cool. So maybe I can get some new fans, and you can get some some of my fans come over and they can listen to you too, bro. So I mean, it's all helps everybody. So that's the way I see it.
Thank you, James, for that. I'm going to be straight up honest with you, man, and I'm not trying to say this in a bad way, but people they don't really listen to my content. I see it, and then I'm like, and I'm just trying to get more things into it so people understand what I'm trying to do. That give me the shot at the title or whatever the case may be, and I don't want to sound desperate at that. Not at all. I'm just trying to throw it out there. I'm honest about it, and I'm going to be honest with you now. So hopefully, hopefully some of your fans check out my content, and some of my fans who are loyal to me will check out your content because look, we got another collaboration to do this upcoming Thursday, and then we also got to do another interview with you, and I'm going to interview Hershey, and so we got a big crossover going on, and I got a lot of content to talk with you guys a lot about. But I got to be honest, enough of the discussion of where we stand with where we are in the fields and whatnot. You've come a long way. you've dealt with your demons and you still have your demons, but you have maintained them in what my perspective would be in a positive way. But I'm not you. I don't know how else it is or how, how it normally goes. But I will say, though, that you've done a fantastic job, and you should be very proud of the fact of where you've come. You have a show, you have a daughter, you have a great following, and all these people, all your fans, that's what they see in you. They see Old Boy, they see James Ash be that successor, that guy that we can all talk to, laugh at, and enjoy on a daily basis. So be proud of that, my man.
Oh, I am proud of it, bro. And I'll tell you guys this. This is how you brought up the old boy thing. We'll get into that too. Um, I'm very proud of what I do, and I'm really appreciated everybody who loves my show and loves me and follows me, and I love you guys. But the old boy name became like I think it was like 6, 7 years ago, and it's not from the movie because that's the first thing everybody says. I know you've seen the old boy movies. Somebody called me old boy one time, and I liked the name, and I just went with it. And yeah, now I saw there's movies and stuff, and then there's a remake of it, and there's supposedly there's a clothing line too, but to come to find out, but I just always liked it because I'm older, but I'm a boy at heart, so it kind of makes sense, old boy. So that's where that came from, and I always gone through it, and now people call me that. And I think it's funny because how it started, it was just somebody just called me at one time, and I just kept it, and I thought it was a great name. And you know, with all this, people need to realize, if you're going to listen to the show, please think about it and with an open mind that there's stuff out there. And I'm not just doing these shows so I can just sound cool on the radio or podcast, you would call it now. I do it because there's stuff, I believe most of this stuff exists. Not everything we do exists. We try to make it. We also do stuff to myth bust too. We also talk about, legends and stuff like that. But, like the Mongolian death worm, we did this one this last week. And that was pretty weird, but we kind of think that things exist, just like the Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot, demons. I believe them. I know they exist. I've seen them. I have one that talks to me sometimes. Ghost. I've seen Ghost. I think we all have seen Ghost. I believe in the dog man. I believe that exists. I believe it's some kind of hybrid beast, or it could be a werewolf for all I know. I don't know too much about it. I know a little bit. We did another show after that, and that got, for some reason, people love the dog man. That's like the most popular. That and the shadow people. And I first heard the shadow people from Art Bell in the early 2000s. So that's when I actually seen shadow people. The man with the hat and stuff like that. I've seen that. I've seen that. It used to haunt my old apartment. And back in, God, when I first before I was even married, I just had my kid. My apartment was haunted. We didn't know people would die there. People were doing like witch rituals there. We just seen like dark shadows everywhere. It was crazy. I seen a guy with a dark hat with red eyes. That was crazy. I remember that. That was something that started changing my opinion, and like that kind of stuff. And then bad things would happen at my house, and I lived a crazy life then. But remember, when we do these shows, that's why we do a lot of research to see if this stuff's real, because most people, it doesn't exist. Well, we actually read research and read legends on it, and the people who witness this stuff. Most people lie about everything, or they exaggerate. But if there's 1 million sightings of something, you're going to have at least 10,000 that's real or questionable. Out of the 90%, it's probably not. So that's how we do it. We'll read the stories. We'll talk to people. We can get evidence. It's hard sometimes, but we'll do a lot of studying, and we'll find stuff out that you would never think. Like with the death worm, we thought that it says it shoots lightning. Well, it only comes out 2 months of the year when it rains. Well, think about it. If something goes so fast and it's like 7 feet long, it starts to get static electricity. So when it pops out, it's going to have like this shocking ability. You get shocked when you touch static. So that's what we think happens, and it supposedly shoots acid out. But it's a weird looking creature. I believe it exists. It's probable, but that's what it supposedly does. I'm just getting to I'm not trying to bore people, but I'm just trying to explain to you guys what we try to do, and we'll try to get somebody on. But if we could tell they're not, they're shady, we won't even put you on the show. So when we had Chris on, he gave us this thing about the Dogman, and people loved it and people hated it. Majority of people loved it, but it happens. You always have somebody arguing what it is, or when we did the show after that, it's always real, or it's this beast or that beast, and I don't care. Something's there. That's all I care about, is to prove that there's something there. I would love to know what it is, but it's to prove there's something there. And to think it doesn't exist because you can't see it is ignorant. Because there's stuff that I've seen a tiger in a zoo. I've seen dinosaurs with their bones, but they exist, didn't they, at one time? They have them in a museum. Think about this. They roamed the world at one time, and they were giant monsters. So why wouldn't these things roam the world? So that's just my opinion on that. So I don't know about you, Chris. What's your opinion?
Well, about the dinosaur thing, it's interesting. I will say that, that type of phenomenon, it's fascinating, but not too fascinating in my blood. Not saying it's bad, but I'm just not big on it. Because there's a lot of the unknown world about the Big Bang Theory, the unknown world about the fossils, the unknown world in general about these type of creatures. And that goes to my next question to you, actually, which is, what is the most intriguing creature that that you and Hershey or yourself in general have discovered or have looked up for the show that is the most intriguing to you?
Dogman. That's the most intriguing to me. It's because I think it's a werewolf, and that's like one of my favorite creatures because it's the most intriguing, most exciting thing that I think that I would love to be for it to be real. That and shadow people, because I know they're real and I've seen them. Bigfoot, that because you know what though, I kind of don't want Bigfoot to be real because I don't want people to kill him. That's the only thing about that. I have a double-edged sword on that because there's some of these things I don't want to be real because if they're real, one day is gonna kill one of them, and that's the last thing I want. And I think that's what most of the people don't want. It's more of a love story of Bigfoot. It's like I want the creature to exist, but then I don't because I don't want it to be killed. And Dogman is probably the most intriguing. I love that thing, dude. I would love to hunt that thing, man.
Not the brightest move, my friend.
I know, but I'm not worried about it. I didn't say I was going to do it. I'm not stupid, but that intrigues me that much that I would love to hunt it. I know it's pretty crazy creature, dude. I've read a lot of stories about him. That's the most intriguing creature. Him, the Jersey Devil is too, and that's another one you don't really want to mess with because I don't know what the hell that is. I don't even think that's a creature. I think that's more demonic.
I think so too. I agree. More demonic entity.
That's a demon. I really, or some kind of demon. I don't believe it's even a creature. Those are probably the biggest ones that I like. Nessie, but Nessie's another one that's more of a heart thing because it was one of my favorites when I was a kid. But I don't want it to be real because I know what they'll do. And see, that's a double-edged sword. I don't think Nessie is a bad creature if it exists. And there's probably something in that giant lake or whatever it is in Scotland, but there's other sightings, Champ in Canada, so there's something there. But those are probably my favorite shows. And then the demon ones, but that's not really a creature. That's just it just attracts me anyway because of who I am. But I love reading about different demons and stuff like King Paimon and Satan, and he's not even a demon, Lucifer, sorry. And the other ones, Belbacore, there's a bunch of them. There's so many demons, dude. But they intrigue me. I really like it, like doing that. But sometimes he doesn't, dude. He doesn't like getting into some of that stuff. He likes to do his other stuff. He's more into Bigfoot and history and the Mandela effect, like you are. And we did a show about that. That's another one. That's a good one too. But he's all into that stuff. And remote viewing. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
Yeah, there and there.
Yeah. So that's kind of the stuff that I've always got into. And in the Dog Man, that's probably my favorite because I think it exists.
Wait until Thursday, man, when I got some stories for you guys. That'll be probably your biggest episode yet. I've been waiting to do this for a long time. I was originally going to consider going to a couple other people first, but I wanted to do you guys because I wanted to get you guys to be the first to get the inside scoop.
Okay. About the Dog Man?
Yep, a lot of stories to talk about.
Oh, okay, cool. I'll talk to Hershey.
Awesome. Well, old boy, we're getting towards that time for the first part, but this is not the end. I would love to have you come back to next week also to talk a little bit about what's been going on with you in the next series of what we're talking about, and to more into other topics of demons into the abyss and whatnot. Have a much more fuller length interview than tonight's interview, but for the good start, of course, folks, part one of old boy James Ash's interview for Staring into the Abyss, of course, and for himself. But before we do go, James, would you like to send a little message to the fans, as well as where they can contact you, where they can reach you, and any promotion you would like to do on your own behalf?
Yeah, you guys, thank you for listening to the show, and thank you for for my followers on Staring in the Abyss. Yeah, check us out on Para X. Actually, the show just ended at 9 p.m. I think it's Pacific time, and it's 12 Eastern your time, and it would be like Monday morning technically on Para X Radio. Check us out, and if you guys want to check out any of our old episodes or newer ones, it's on James Hershey Jr.'s YouTube. Check him out, and subscribe, and you can listen to all our old shows. And you could find me on Facebook. Just put James Ash Old Boy or James Hershey Jr. If you want to contact us. We're looking for sponsors and advertising. Hit us up, and we'll tell you the different options you have. And I also have a store, but I think it's treespring.com, and you can order our stuff there. It's Staring in the Abyss, or you can get shirts with me or James Hershey's books. But it has all our stuff on there, and you guys can check it out. But I love you guys. Thank you. Always remember, you only live once, so live it up the best you can, and have a great night, Misfits, Sugar Ladies, and Demon Hunters. I love you. Blessed be.
Thank you again, Hershey. Wow, Hershey, old boy. Sorry.
Oh, boy.
Hey, but that great, and we'll send some links later on once this episode is uploaded to YouTube, which should be by tomorrow or the next day, so everybody can take a look at this amazing interview. Part one, of course, folks. Old boy, thank you again for coming on the show tonight. You enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, brother.